guys, and welcome back to the Talkoffamepod podcast with your host, Kylie Montigney. And on today's episode of the podcast, we have a very special guest in which I'm so excited to have on. She's the founder and CEO of Think Like a Boss, someone no woman left behind, and has mastered the business and creative world as an interpreter, has worked with MTV, Comcast Cable, ABC, and much more. Alexandra Bernard Simmons. Make sure to subscribe and like the podcast if you enjoyed this episode. And how are you, Alexandra? It's so nice to meet you.
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So how did you with working with corporate America? I'm not sure if you're still working there now, but like how did it help you start thinking like a boss, no woman left behind?
So, corporate America actually played a huge role in me starting my business because when you work within someone else's business, you get to understand most of the operations of a big, moving company. So, I worked in technology and we were a billion-dollar company. So, I was able to actually learn a lot about business development, building relationships, and so many other things when it comes to business. So, when it was time for me to start my own business, I know how a proper business should be ran because I was helping to run one.
Yeah. Yeah, like I like with being in such a big business, like corporate America is one of the biggest like companies in the United States. I'm not sure about around the world, but it's like with being such a big $1 million, billion-dollar company, like you had to play a massive role in that company no matter how much like how big the company is. Like if you want to start a business and you work for $1 million business or $1 billion business, I just feel like it helps you so much in terms of wanting to create your own business. Because that's like when I created my own business organization, like I didn't really know how to make an organization at the same time.
Yes,
So it's
yes,
like very important actually you have the experience and knowledge before you actually create one.
absolutely. Absolutely. You can learn from them, learn from their mistakes and learn from their successes.
Right? And like, do you think television and the media plays a valid role in the way people are portrayed in real life and feeling inspired? Because I know like you're very passionate about women empowerment and all these things. So I wanted to ask you about that.
So I do. So unfortunately, television and celebrities and entertainment actually gets a lot of mind share from an individual
Mm-hmm.
if you're not careful, right? For me, for example, I don't watch TV. And that's on purpose. I don't remember when's the last time I watched any type of television, maybe last 10, 11 years. There's
Oh
nothing for
wow.
me on there. There's just not. And we have to be careful with what we are actually putting into our minds on a daily basis. Because when you're watching television, or sometimes the music you listen to, that's actually listening to someone else's affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say that is sometimes I do feel like there's a certain way that women are being portrayed in entertainment, right? Just, only being sex symbols and things like that. And now especially Black women. Black women,
Mm-hmm.
there's some content out there for Black women that is just not conducive to us as a people. And I think that does play a role sometimes in how people view, women or Black women. So, and like, for example, sometimes when you travel overseas, and I'm not all the time, sometimes if you're a tall, African American man, they're going to ask you if you play basketball, just because the men that they see on television are the basketball players. So now
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
just assume, right? So that is sometimes how the entertainment plays a role in how people are being viewed. And I hate sometimes that it is a negative connotation when it comes to entertainment and women.
Like so and like I like what you said because like with entertainment, like it plays basically a valid role in basically what we see and what we do. Because obviously when you watch TV or even listen to music, like what you see or what you hear is will impact the way you live every single day. Whether it's a movie, show, or hearing people or if people around you doing things are like, what like just because this person is, as to say, I don't know, like a basketball player like you said, doesn't mean they're actually one based off of what gender or age or sexuality they are. It doesn't mean they're actually that way because like oftentimes media portrays that thing like, oh, like as an example, like to say, oh, are you a basketball player because you're African American or black? But that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean like even though you're that gender or you're that race, it doesn't mean you actually play basketball. I know a lot of people that gender play basketball, but not everyone does, you know?
exactly. A lot of stereotypes are actually heightened with television.
It really is. And like, how do you think like women find qualities, especially in internship or business or etc.? Like, how do you think women find qualities in that?
So the thing about entrepreneurship, it is such a journey based on who you are and some of the powers that you already possess. And what I mean by that is sometimes we don't really understand that we already all have a superpower. We just
Oh
really
yeah.
have to tap into what that actually is. So for some people, their superpower might be their communication, right? So when you were in middle school or, elementary school, you kept getting on your report card that you talk too much, right?
Yeah.
Now as an adult, you're like a public speaker, right? So it's like we have to really play on what our strengths are. But I would say some of the most important attributes or traits that people should try to strengthen to help them with entrepreneurship is discipline, right? That's a huge one. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people lack discipline and they look around, they look left and they look right, and they're like, why are these people so successful? Sometimes we all got the same magic. It's
Mm-hmm.
really if you're disciplined enough to bring it to the next level,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So I think discipline is actually one of the most important attributes of entrepreneurship. Besides that, staying self-motivated, right? People don't understand that everyone doesn't just wake up motivated.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't really happen like that all the time. So in order to, regulate yourself and make sure that you can keep motivated in order to continue to flourish in your business, I think that's another attribute that's just very important.
Like with like being like motivated, I know like with waking up every single morning, people always time think, oh, how do you stay motivated each day? I'm like, I don't know. Like I'm not always motivated, but like not everyone has the motivation they have each day. Some days they're happy, like living life, had the best motivation they ever have in their life, but next day like, oh, this day sucks. Like this
Right.
is horrible. But like how do you like
In those days you should rest. And that's
mm-hmm,
another thing. That's another thing about entrepreneurship, and especially right when we go back to media and entertainment, there's this hustle culture that's being pushed forward, and that's actually not healthy.
yeah, it's not healthy.
You burn out. You burn out. So anytime someone does wake up and they're not feeling motivated, I always tell a person maybe that day you just need to rest, right? Maybe
Mm-hmm.
that long to-do list is overwhelming. Maybe you need to start, shortening your to-do list for the day to get rid of overwhelm. So, everybody's not going to be motivated every day, and that's also okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's okay. Like even like me, like I know that sometimes I'm like, oh, I have this thing to do, like this. Like sometimes I have like full-blown pages to actually do. That I'm like, how can a 16-year-old girl that's a sophomore in high school with work, family, supposed to get all that done in like 24 hours, as to say. But like, how do you deal with that? Like with all that, like to-do list, motivation, and kind of taking time for yourself. Like, how do you kind of know, like, oh, I need to take time for myself, like when like you need a break?
Right. Well, listening to your body, right? That's another thing with hustle culture. Sometimes we move way too quickly that we're not paying attention when we're hungry, when we're tired, or when we're just flat out exhausted, right? So it's just really staying in tune with myself. I'm a very spiritual person, so I
Mm-hmm.
actually meditate every morning. Do yoga every morning and things like that. So I'm really in tune with who I am and what I'm feeling at the time. So when it's time to slow down, I slow down. I don't think twice about it. Secondarily, I get help. That's another thing that, hustle culture, I did all by myself. No, I'm not. I'm not doing that. I'm going to ask.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to employ somebody, in order to help the business get to the next level. And it's very important for women to understand that all you have to do is ask for help.
Oh yeah, like that's something like I don't know if you felt this as well, but like I know like for me, like I was always struggling with ask for help in terms of work purposes. Sometimes I'm like, oh, it'll make me seem like, oh, like I'm like can't do anything on my own. Like even though I could do a lot of things on my own, because I even run a business on my own with one person working with me, but a board director. But it's like as like a host and everything, like what the million things going on right now is just like everything kind of goes to you like projects that you have to do all along that you do not know like how to handle yourself because oftentimes it'll make you exhausted. Like it'll make you so exhausted that you're like, do I actually I need a break? Like a couple days ago I literally went to bed like bed right when I was doing homework. I was literally pushing myself doing some homework and some work, even though I was exhausted. And
Mhm.
sometimes, like, you're like, how many times do I have to do this every single day for how long? Like, how am I supposed to know if I actually need a break with so many things going on?
Mm, mm. Yeah. I'm a type of person that I'm not killing myself. I'm just not doing it. And that's something that's learned, right? Because sometimes we have to unlearn certain behaviors. We
Oh,
have to
yeah.
unlearn certain behaviors. So, like, for example, something that you have to unlearn is like, hey, I can be a strong person and still ask for help. Like, both of those
Mm,
things can exist at the same time, right?
mm,
So, to me, it's kind of like, this can wait till tomorrow. Like, whatever it is, like, sometimes, like, look, this could wait until tomorrow, because I need some sleep. And if I don't I always think about my future self too. Alexandra
mm,
tomorrow. If Alexandra today only sleeps for 5 hours, Alexandra tomorrow is going to be cranky. I'm not going to have time
mm,
to, meditate. I'm not. So I'm doing myself a favor by making sure that I am well rested. Because when I'm well
mm,
rested, when my cup is full, it's so much easier for me to help other people. I think that's
mm,
something that people forget. Like, you have to take care of yourself to a point where when you're helping people, it's easy. It's not me taking my shirt off your back and now I don't have a shirt, but you have one. No. It's me keeping my shirt, right?
and yeah, and taking care of myself.
Yes, and showing you how to get a shirt. I might give you money to buy a shirt or something. We'll work on it, but I'm not giving you my shirt because I'm
Yeah.
going to freeze to death. Right. So I think that's just, again, people will always say, I'll give you the shirt off my back. I'm not doing that because I will freeze to death while you're kept warm. And that doesn't make
Mm.
any sense. Right.
Yeah,
So
it does
it's
not
very
make any
important
sense.
to
It's
take
like I
care.
know, like what you said, like if I don't get that many hours of sleep, I know I'm like, well, I have a couple of things going on tomorrow that I need to join. That's a very important day tomorrow, and I'm on unless I say like 4 hours of sleep. I know I'm gonna be cranky and miserable because when I'm tired, I'm basically miserable the entire day to the point where I'm just like it makes my parents miserable. So it's like when you like know that like it's gonna be if you don't get that many hours of sleep, you know that like oh I know I'm gonna be miserable. I need to go to bed at this time so I won't be tired.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Take care of your future self.
Right? And like, do you think there's a lot of barriers for like women in business, especially?
Well, I used to believe that. And in some instances, there might be, but I have to make sure that I get rid of that belief system, right? Because if you
Mm,
operate within that belief system, you start to move within that belief system, as in, oh my God, women, we don't get enough, money. So that means I'm not going to get money. No, I can't carry that belief system with me because I'm still going to go out and try to get the money, right? Try to get the
mm,
grant, try to get the loan. So I'm not saying in the past it has been, very, very difficult, but that's just a belief system that I refuse to carry with me because I need to make sure that I am affirming that there's not that many barriers for women in business.
I mean, it's like the way you are, let's just say like you're a woman in business, like you want to create barriers and pave the way for other women that are just starting business. Because like even though there might be some things that you are struggling with as a woman in business, as an example, like those experience you like experience every single day as a let's just say something in business or let's just say like sports or something
Mm-hmm.
like it will pave the way to the people that are just starting out a couple years later than you. These
Mm-hmm.
experience that you do and the way you speak up about things that you're passionate about, like those will lead the way to the people that are just starting out a couple years ago, not the other younger generation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're right.
And like you have opened and shared a stage with legends like Booby Brown, Biz Markie, Dougie Fresh, Slick Rock, Naughty by Nature, Mr. Vegas, shot
Mhm.
videos of French Montana, and which I'm so jealous of, and
Mhm.
interview countless celebrities like Lance Gross and many more. And like, did you dance choreograph when you were on stage with Bobby Brown and others, or did you just kind of like be?
Yes. So these were all, dancing engagements, Radio City Music Hall, which is one of the big, venues out here in the New York tri-state area, right?
Yeah.
So yes, my background in entertainment is actually a hip hop dancer and choreographer.
Mm.
So doing that, I was able to share the stage with these legends, right? Either open the show for them or dance with them, dance behind them, dance after them, So it's just, again, just making sure that I'm using my talents, all my superpowers, right? And kind of giving it back to the world in the form of dance.
Like, how long have you been dancing for?
Ooh, well, I guess for sheesh, no one asked me that in a while. Maybe 22 years. Like it's been a while.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because me and my sister have been dancing for a long time. My sister doesn't do anything now, but I take dance as well for a couple of years. And I was like, I have to ask her about this question. Like, because
Yes.
I'm a dance geek. I love to dance, whether it's TikTok or music. I'm just like the biggest like dance geek to artist ever.
Yes.
For
Oh,
some reason.
dancing is so fun. It's just such a fun soul expression. I mean, I slowed down a lot since when I first started, but I still get on stage every now and then. It has to be a big show. If someone's calling me
Oh,
to get on stage, it has to be Madison Square Garden. It has to be something big. But I do show up and dance.
Because of course, like you want to be careful about like what time you spend in which you're performing at, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
And like you are the host of your own podcast, television show, and author. Like, how do you manage to do all these like amazing things? I know like with doing a podcast, television show, even being an author, like, it can take so much time off your hands, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the importance of building a team, right? So, for example, for my podcast, we have 4 hosts.
Oh,
So
really?
yes, that helps divvy up the workload a little bit, right? So I don't have to carry everything on my own. So that's very important when you think about like when you want to scale your business and go into different facets of your business, it's always important to hire people. We have to hire people, right? I always give people the example of Buddy, the cake maker, right? We know
Mm-hmm.
Buddy makes amazing cakes, but Buddy don't make cakes no more. He does not make cakes anymore. Like he will tell you what he wants it to look like, but he has a team of cake and bakers, right? Creating
Mm-hmm.
this cake, and he's going to tell them yay or nay. So that's exactly how you should treat your business. You shouldn't be doing every single thing in your business. You shouldn't be the manager, the technician, the customer service representative, and the marketer. Yes, I know it starts like that at first, but realistically, if you want to grow to your next level, third level, fourth level, you have to hire.
I mean, so if you're hiring, you have more people on your team, that's like the way you grow as a business. Because like when I started my organization, I was doing everything on my own. I wasn't basically like doing everything day by day and having no motivation. But then like once I started asking people that I knew that was like very passionate about what my mission was, I was like, this is actually the best thing in the entire world that I ever experienced. Like this, like every time like you talk with people and ask them about like join your team and stuff, and having a team that will help you is actually a relief. Because if you don't have time to do, let's just say, write a blog post or do hosting or whatever your organization or podcast has to offer, like you always have that backup to help you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Got to
And
ask.
like yes, right? And like what is like the key to like running a podcast or show? Like I know like being a podcast host or a television show host, it takes a lot of hard work and dedication to actually do it. But like what is like the key to actually running it?
Always staying creative, staying on top of your industry, making sure that you have exciting people to interview or to join you, right? I think having co-hosts is very helpful because
Mm-hmm.
again, it's not just my voice. Sometimes I'm just listening and listening to them going back and forth and their banter and being able to step in when it's necessary. So I think with running a successful podcast too, you have to know how to market your podcast,
Mm-hmm.
making sure that you have a great following and staying true to that following. Like, what do you give your listeners that are listening to you? Do you give them free access to something? Are you giving them a subscription of some sort, right? It's so important to nurture the community that you have built with your podcast in order for them to
Mm-hmm.
continue to listen to you.
Like what does like your podcast usually aim for? Does it aim for like think about a boss, like about women empowerment? Like what does it usually aim for?
So think like a boss. If you really look into our business and what we do, think like a boss is really becoming the CEO of your life and taking back control, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, we cover topics that help you get your life together to be a boss. So
Mm.
that is in entrepreneurship, of course, but we also talk about spirituality, health and wellness. We also talk about financing. We take retreats all around the world. So we travel a lot as a boss
Mm.
tribe. I call it the boss tribe, right? So there's different facets of the company that we do. So now we talk about it on our podcast, depending on what's important right now. For example, we're in a place in a time of inflation and people are very uncertain about money. So a lot of our subject matter is around financing, budgeting, how to create a hobby or how to start a business, right? So
Mm-hmm.
anything that's going to help our listeners right now with their finance. Of course, with that, with uncertainty in the economy, another thing is mental health. So now that's
Mm.
something that we speak about a lot. I mean, that's been such a hot topic forever, really, but really more so since after the pandemic.
Oh yeah, like with me, like it's just like the pandemic really like helped make my mental health worse. For me, like I always dealt with mental health problems. I had anxiety and depression since I was a kid. So it's like I always dealt with the mental health part, especially with anxiety. I was the most shyest kid ever. And like with the pandemic, like when everyone kind of locked themselves in their homes and couldn't leave, especially in like early 2020, like it was very hard because like when you are basically adapting with that change because no one knew that you had to be stuck in a house. Everyone just was used to moving around every single day. Because of course, because we were just living our lives before the pandemic started. But then like once we got stuck in our houses, we were like, what are we supposed to do? Like, how are we supposed to live and keep ourselves busy? Because of course, when we're stuck in our homes, we're basically doing nothing besides like chilling out, resting, and maybe doing online school for some people or watching television. That's really the only thing I know most people could do because everything was shut down, like shooting, movies and music and concerts, everything was shut down. So it really kind of made things more difficult for a lot of people.
Absolutely. It made things more difficult, but it also shined a light on the fact that we should be paying more attention to our mental health
Hmm.
instead, just trying to keep busy all the time.
I know because mental health is more important than staying busy. Because of course, like I know staying busy is very important. I know for me, I always like to stay busy, but it's like even though you want to be very busy, your mental health needs to be over your priorities going on in life right now. Because sometimes you're like, oh, shit, am I overworking myself? But then like you need to ask yourself, like, am I able to do this? Am I able to work this much every single day? Like you need to focus on your mental health and see how much it will take before you lose it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And like in your book, Think Like a Boss, you talk about creating good habits for yourself and your podcast and all these things. Like, how has making good habits helped you in life?
Oh, it's all about your habits. I can tell whether a person will fail or succeed based on their habits, right? And it kind of goes
Hmm.
back to having that attribute of discipline, right? So, are your habits making you or breaking you, right? Especially
Hmm.
when we talk about different habits in regards to taking care of yourself. So one of my biggest habits is my morning ritual, right? How do
Oh
I
yeah.
enter myself in the world? Like how am I when I leave my home, right? So in the book, it's Think Like a Boss, Build Your Brand from the Inside Out. I make sure that my reader knows that we're focusing on the inner and the outer
Yeah.
because the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So
Hmm.
the way that you treat yourself is probably going to be the way that you treat your business.
Oh yeah.
So we really have to focus on both the inner and the outer. So different habits is a lot of those self-care tips I talk about in the book. I tell people to take a break and travel, even if it's
Oh
like a
yeah.
staycation, even if it's a staycation, find a nice hotel in your area, right? Just by giving yourself a break. So different habits like that is what keeps you going as an entrepreneur.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was literally just talking to my mom about going to Tennessee like 2 hours ago about getting a quick trip. Like even though I'm a big travel person, so it's like any chance of going to travel, whether it's like a day or two or somewhere close to home, I'm like, I'll take it. Like as long as I'm not at a house and doing something other than my work, I'll definitely take it. It's a good excuse to do nothing.
Absolutely. I agree.
But like, I just goes back to your old question, like my old questions before you. And like, if you could choreograph a person in entertainment or in life in general, who would it be?
That's a great question. For me, it would have to be the late Aaliyah, right?
Mm.
Aaliyah from the 90s. So, even though I'm a Michael Jackson fanatic, right?
Oh,
Aaliyah,
me too.
Michael Jackson made me want to dance. He made me want to
Oh,
become a
really?
dancer. Yes. But Aaliyah made me want to become a professional dancer just so I could dance for her. Because I knew, we were closer in age, than I was with Michael Jackson. So I had a better chance of dancing background for Aaliyah than I would for Michael Jackson. So when she hit the scene and got really big, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be a background dancer for Aaliyah. And that's what really made me start taking my dance so seriously. And then, she passed away in that airplane crash, which broke my heart. I was in high school when that happened, and it just broke my heart into a million pieces. But that's one person that I would still love to, in my mind and my spirit, choreograph for.
That's amazing. I know like Michael Jackson is one of the best to do it and Elijah as well. They're both amazing. And Michael Jackson especially, like he is literally the king, like in my mind. Like with his music and stuff. Like I was literally jamming out to his music yesterday. Like I would never get bored of his music. I'm actually seeing his sister perform next week. And
Yes, Janet is in concert.
yeah,
Yes.
I'm going to see her in Allentown next week. I'm super excited. Never seen her before. And like once my parents got tickets, surprised me got tickets, I'm like, thank you, please. I can at least say to people that I actually saw Michael Jackson's sister. Not exactly Michael, but I can say I at least saw his sister or someone that's last name is Jackson.
Beautiful, beautiful. I hope you
Even
enjoy
though I
that.
really want to see Michael in person, but of
I
course I never
know
got the chance to. But just always keep that in your mind though. As long as you have his music and see videos, that's the most important thing.
he's timeless, timeless.
For sure. And like, do you have a favorite dance move that you
Of
do?
course, it's the moonwalk. That's the first dance move I
Oh
taught
yeah.
myself. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
the
why I said
Mr.
I
Michael
feel like
Jackson
people
moonwalk.
want to dance. That's actually how I learned to dance. I learned to dance by watching Michael Jackson videos.
Oh,
And
really?
I used to actually tape them, back then on the VCR. And I used to record them, and then I used to watch them back and play them back and learn each dance. So I know full choreography of Thriller, full choreography of Smooth Criminal, full choreography of all those things. So
Oh, it's crazy. Like even though how many times I try to moonwalk, I can't get it. The only person that's close to me is my sister, even though she took more years of dance than me.
Mhm.
Like that, she's like the only person that can master the moonwalk. No matter how many times I try to moonwalk, I can never do it.
Yeah.
That's probably the motivation I need to actually watch more videos of moonwalking, especially Michael Jackson.
Great.
But like you're going on a book tour for your new edition of your book. Like, why did you make a new edition of your book and what places are you going on your book tour?
So I made a new edition of the book because I wanted to turn it into a workbook. I love
Ooh.
books yes, I know. I love books that are interactive. I love books that have like
Mm.
journal prompts and things like that. So I actually recreated that in a business book where every chapter has an activity to do. Like,
Ooh.
so if we just talk about marketing, okay, let's get into it. Or if we're talking about business plans, start to fill in the blank of what you want to be in this business plan. So it's just really the reader being able to apply their knowledge in real time. Like I just taught you something, and now let's just apply it. And also it helps kind of double me, right? Because I can't consult everybody. So now I put a lot of this information in a book, which seems like we're in a one-on-one consultation because of all the information that's in there. So I hope everyone enjoys it. It comes out soon. And the book tours, yes. Book tours, we usually go all around the nation, right?
Ooh.
And then also in London and Toronto. Our first book tour is going to be in June. It's going to be in Atlanta, Georgia, followed by New Orleans, Louisiana.
Ooh.
So those are two that we have. And then we're going to come back to the New Jersey and New York area and then head out west to California.
Ooh. I can't wait to learn all about it. If there's anything in Pennsylvania or somewhere close, I know you said New York and New Jersey. Let me know. I'll definitely try to
Oh,
come
we're
down.
definitely going to be in Philly. We're going to be in Philadelphia. So I don't know how far you
Ooh, let me know the days. I'll definitely try to come down for sure.
are.
Like with
Sounds
your
good.
workbook, I know like with having like a one-on-one book workbook, I know like with having that type of workbook, I know a lot of people figure out which goals they want more than actually reading a book. I know for me, it's
Exactly.
much easier to actually write it down and after reading than actually just reading it all the way through.
Yeah, exactly. Thinking about it in real time. I love it.
Yepper. And like, what is some advice for people in internship or even like a host of a TV show, podcast? Like, what is some advice for them?
Never give up. That's really it. I feel like sometimes we're in a space of instant gratification, because we're so used to the social media era where you get your likes right away or you get, your shares right away, and business is not right away. Like
Mhm.
it's just not right away, and you really have to put in the time and work hard, but not really too hard, because you can work smarter too. You don't have to work harder, you can work smarter, but it's not going to happen overnight. All these
Oh yeah.
overnight successes, right, actually took 10 to 20 years.
Mhm.
So do not allow, like what we spoke about earlier, the entertainment industry or social media put you in a place of constant comparison, right? Because comparison is actually the thief of joy. And you
Mhm.
really just need to focus on your journey and understand that it takes time. Be patient and do not give up.
For sure. You're exactly right. And like, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It means so much. And I wish you all the best of luck with everything. You're amazing and so inspiring. I know your work inspires me and I just really appreciate you coming on and chatting. And if you ever need help with anything at all, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to help you with anything you need.
Thank you.
And thank you so much again for coming on. I really appreciate it. And I hope everyone is having a great rest of your day. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much. Hey, have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, honey. You too. That was
Thank
great.
you.
Good job.
Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day. Great. Thank you again. Okay,
Bye.
bye.